very cool interview with Clinton Cybulski. It's Brandon W. Hunt and Karen here with Dr. Clinton Cybulski. And we just discussed him losing his place on the Raptor 905 team to Fred Van Vliet, which is a wonderful, cool story. And I love how you said that one of the reasons they could have accepted you was because of a feel-good story. And I was like, that does sound like the making of some cool-ass movie of like this kid who started late and fell in love with the game and was disappointed time and time again and then eventually got that spot, right?
Yeah, well, I definitely don't want you to think that I was sad about not making that team. One is, what probably would have happened is I would have been on that 905 team for all of a week. Somebody would have posted me up 3 possessions in a row, and I wouldn't have been there long. My dream was to always be a college basketball player. That was what my dream started probably around grade 11 after I realized, oh, maybe I'm getting kind of good at this. And to do that, and then to finish and win a national championship was so overwhelmingly
What school was that
exciting.
with again?
That was at Emmanuel College.
Now
College. It's called Emmanuel University. So they're a Division II program in the U.S. They're one of the most well-known Division II programs in the country.
Wow,
we actually just had a guy that was competing to, and he still is, but he might end up being a player that plays in the NBA. To be a Division II player and go, jump the Division I level and then be able to play at the NBA level is pretty impressive. But so it's a very well-known program under T.J. Rosine is the head coach. We could talk about his principles of life in basketball at another time, or now if we want to get into that. But just an incredible coach, incredibly led team. Our assistant coach, Graham Maxwell, is unbelievable. So it's just a program that's ran the right way to build young men that are leaders in their community, but also hold us to a really high standard of great basketball. But I didn't want to go to that 905 tryout. I was convinced by a friend who is an agent to say, hey, just try it. And I'm really glad I did, because it meant I got to meet a lot of neat people. And then from that experience, and just even posting about it, my old teammate, Jamison Tipping, who I had met at Brock, he invited me to come and coach at their pro team in Canada, which was called the Orangeville A's. And so then I coached professionally for a year, where I got to have some really cool guys to coach. Relier Hollis Jefferson was one of them.
So you were paying the bills with basketball?
Yeah, kind of. I mean,
which is like, it's very, that's an accomplishment and a half. When with me coming to terms with the fact that I know all these really cool players of the game, but to be able to have it as a job, regardless of what facet you're in, if you're a player or a coach or a trainer or whatever, if you're paying the bills with basketball, you've already gone somewhere.
I think it's more like you can pay the bills doing a lot of different things, but can you find something in your life that brings you joy every single day?
That's it.
And then do people feel like, hey, we would pay you more than what you're already getting in return for it, right? That's a Templeton plan. I don't know if you've ever read that book. It's a chapter in that book. But meaning that it's not
What's
really...
the book called?
Templeton Plan.
The Templeton Plan.
It's great read, especially for young individuals. The experience at Orangeville was incredible. Getting to coach players like, maybe some people know Alex Superman Johnson, he was actually just on our 3v3 national team, who just narrowly missed going to the Olympics. I got to coach
We nearly medaled this year too.
That was with the 5v5 team too.
Yeah.
Then Relier Hollis Jefferson, Rick Bodiford, I could go on and on. Slim McGee, shout out Slim McGee if you're out there.
Keep in mind, I made it completely okay with the good man to drop as many names as he can. In radio, I was told that early on as a DJ here. That dropping names is actually cool to do over broadcasting. So especially with the podcasting, drop as many names as you can. I'm hoping that this podcast will hit all these circles people start, as we have our esteemed guests on. Please promote yourself, promote other people. It really makes sense to do that.
Well, I could literally name every player on that team of just.
I'm glad that's
players that cared about the game.
That once again shows that shows a lot that you've come that far and you still remember your roots.
It was just when you get to the professional level, most of those players have really refined their game. Most of them have refined themselves as people too, being very diligent in their, in their schedule, their life habits, their people around them, right? And so, like, because if you're going to be successful in anything, usually, like, in order to become successful in a craft at a high level, usually when you look at the rest of the things in your life, usually things are you're managing things in your life pretty well around, right? Like TJ Rosine, that coach I was talking about, he said a lot. He often said, if you want things to go well on the court, you probably should be making sure everything is going right off the court around you in your relationships.
Very cool.
And so that's probably a good way to segue into maybe more of the off the court stuff, the relationships. But my experience in basketball, that from high school to pro, was really cool. But off the air, we were talking a lot about, it's not really where you play, how you play. It's just the fact that you get to play. Like I literally could have played pickup in my backyard and genuinely had just as much fun as any of the places that I played. It was a cool story to tell. But I still go down to the local high school and still get up shots 2 to 3 times a week because that's what I love. I just love being in the gym.
And being in the gym is where we can bring up, possibly start talking about Educated Baller.
Sure, yeah.
This is a side hustle that Clinton's been doing for a number of years. It is an academy or a camp, I believe, that is his invention. Educated Baller. Let's talk Educated Baller. Yes. When did that start?
Educated Baller started when I was at Orangeville, and people would come in and ask for training, and there was no training being provided. And so James Tipping and Jesse Tipping and Jameson Tipping and Jackie Tipping, the group that owned that facility, were just okay with me allowing to run that training. I put together a sheet of what we would charge for it. They said okay, and then I ran ahead with it. And once I left Orangeville, it was more the idea of that the basketball has treated me so well. Mm-hmm. It's given me a lot in my life. It's literally given me my education. It's given me the ability to travel the world. It's given me the opportunity to have this thing that brings me tremendous joy that I then feel overwhelmed to share with others. Right? Basketball has given me a lot, and I owe the game a lot to give back from all the coaches that I had. So at Educated Baller, the big thing we try to do is we try to equip players on and off the floor to be confident and feel fulfilled in their life and in the game of basketball. Because at some point the game will end, and that as far as like a rep level, and they will have to make a decision, how do they consistently focus on those daily habits to better themselves and their family and their friends in their life.
That's a mandate. That's a tasty mandate. I love it. I love hearing people carrying on with a game that took them far. Men's league basketball programs, teams that are created locally in the community or communities. Things that keep you together. And Educated Baller does sound like a very cool thing. Is it a camp then, or an academy, or what would you consider Educated Baller to be?
We do a couple things. We run camps in the summer. We also run, we refer to our camp as a training camp. And so we keep it incredibly small. We only do 16 athletes in each of our groups. So we'll do a morning session, we'll do an afternoon session. We'll do on-court workouts, we'll do film sessions. Our film sessions emphasize the game, but they also emphasize how do you bring spirit to your teammates? How do you bring confidence to yourself and to your teammates? We go into those in our film sessions. And the idea of it being called a training camp is many of them may not have the chance of going to a university and experiencing that training camp experience. Maybe they do. That would be great if they do, but regardless, even if they do or they don't, we want to provide them what I believe would be the experience that they would feel incredibly fulfilled on and would give them tools to be able to use on and off the court going forward. And to have a little bit of a culture. We intentionally keep it a very small camp, 16 people. And it allows us as coaches, I bring coaches from the U.S. and from here in Canada that have played at a high level or taught the game at a high level, so that they have a lot of individual touches with these athletes and that we can really make tremendous strides with them. and it's a blast. It's so much fun. And then we do group training in the falls and in the spring. And then in the wintertime, I volunteer as the CCI's head basketball coach and currently took over as the president of the NMBA, which is our local house league program and our rep program. So we'll look to, with Educated Baller, help refine the edges as with CCI and with our local NMBA programs, make sure that we can be an inclusive and safe place for basketball going forward within the area. And hopefully in the future is that when you think of basketball in Ontario, you don't just think of Toronto and you don't jump all the way out to Kingston. You think of this area between Peterborough and Cobourg as a hot spot and a safe place for really good basketball where we grow it the right way.
Nice.
Wicked. Okay, let's go. Let's get into some more fun stuff. Favorite team?
My favorite team is whichever team I have trained guys is on. So, so there's a couple teams within the league, but getting to work with, so I didn't work with this player, but I got to grow up with this player, was Jamal Murray and his dad Roger. I got to train with them a lot when I was a little kid. So right now it's probably Denver, but I mean, every night when the Raptors come on at home, we turn on it and
the
watch
game's
it.
On.
Yeah, my cat Ren loves the Raptors, and so we have to sit and watch the Raptors when they come on for sure.
Okay. Favorite era?
Favorite era of basketball? The era we're in. I think that every era has been fantastic, but the game will continue to grow, and so I love where we're at.
As athletics and the human body, and the training gets better and better and better, you're going to have way better teams all around, as opposed to just having your MJs, your Magics, your Larry Birds, your LeBrons, all those guys. There's going to be, in my theory anyway, professional sports is still young as far as experiencing it as the human experience. So you're going to see these
Clark and Reese.
You're going to see monstars out there over the next many generations. There's going to be men and women out there that can play the game at such a high level, and all 12 of the positions on the team will be, as you said the other day, your favorite basketball movie, Space Jam.
Yeah, I love Space Jam, man.
I was like, you know what, he's
My
gonna.
kids watch that so much.
Yeah, when I asked him, I asked him about what his favorite basketball movie was, and I was like, okay, he's gonna say Hoosiers, or he's gonna say Blue Chips, or he's gonna say He Got Game, and he throws down Space Jam, and I'm like, okay. But seeing that as a kid with the magical sight and eyes of a child, Michael Jordan would be even more of a
and it brings you just so much joy. It's just a movie full of joy. Sure, Coach Carter. Sure, Glory Road. I thought about all those. They're all maybe
tasty.
Those should be the right answer. But I'm doubling back. No, it's definitely
Space Jam. All right, that's amazing. Favorite coach.
Favorite coach? My coach, TJ Rosine in college. That was my favorite coach. Okay. If I have to pick one at the NBA level, it's probably Coach Nurse. Watching he actually bought when he became the head coach for the Raptors, he called PGC Basketball, Point Guard College, and he asked if he could buy a book, the book Stuff. It's called Stuff by Dick DeVenzio.
We're all writing this down.
Yes.
It's a really good book for athletes. It's quick hitters. Each chapter is one page, but it's called Stuff Good Players Should Know. And he bought one for every single player on the team that year.
Wow. I liked him also.
Okay, let's go somewhere else. What happened during your personal greatest game?
My personal greatest game, I would like to think...
That's a big one. It could change, right?
Yeah, I want to say that there's a lot of moments, but I'd say the first time I stepped on the court at the Division II level, my first shot, making it in front of their bench, and then turning and seeing my teammate Willie and seeing how excited he was for that.
He was for you.
Yeah, and just like that, I think that moment stands out more than anything. Is, I've had that question asked before, and sometimes you want to say, oh, it was that time I scored, whatever, but I just remember that moment being so special. And how much, looking in his eyes, how much he genuinely cared about that moment for me.
Because he knew. Yeah, he knew how much it meant to you to make a shot, especially your first shot.
Yeah, because that first one, you make your first 3 or 4, I think I was 0 for 4, and then you wonder, the next one better go in.
Favorite place you've played?
Favorite place I played? the BioSteel Center for the Raptors. That was a really fun time.
Is that that's the 905, the Mississauga Stadium?
That's correct.
Okay.
I actually had the chance to be able to run a clinic in the Scotiabank Center this summer with a friend named Joshua Mutu,
Okay.
and I actually turned it down. And I think it was
you were going to play on the Raptors court.
Yeah, so I was told on a Wednesday, and I would have had to cancel my work day on a Friday, and I wasn't willing to do that to my patients. That's not fair. And so to make them have to change that day, wouldn't it? Like, people manage their days around my schedule for that day, and that wouldn't have been right. So hopefully I get another chance at that. Joshua, if you're hearing this, it would be great to be able to come back.
Come on, Joshua.
I'm so excited about this specific interview, and it went so well. We had to do 2 parts to it because we've learned so much about just the game and Clinton's got so much. He's got so much humility in him, and about just being part of the game and being good at the game, and the ego is kind of put aside, but. I just really enjoyed the idea of having this kid who grew up in Kitchener. to make it almost as far as, and I mean, as Canadians, I think the Raptors have done so much to strengthen and bolster the love of the game for everybody. What do I want to end with? Any other notables you've played with that you might want to, and what was your most humiliating loss, or did you get stuffed by anybody along the way? I mean, being 5'9", playing in a game against giants, the trees.
Okay, so there was. This is a good one because, it's gonna hurt to tell a little bit, but so there's a player named Kevin Ware. Kevin Ware originally played for the University of Louisville, and then he transferred to Georgia. I think it was Georgia State or Georgia.
Is that
Tech.
the guy that bust his knee up?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if
I know
you
who that
Google
guy is.
Kevin Ware on YouTube, and you have to have a strong stomach for it, you will see him shooting a shot in the corner in in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And fracturing his tibia.
I remember when that happened.
Yeah, and so he ended up transferring and going back home to go to school for his last 2 years in Georgia, and I think it was Georgia Tech. You're gonna have to Google me or fact check me on that.
Okay.
But we played them in
Kevin
my senior
Ware,
year as an exhibition.
Name,
yeah, so we played. They were a Division I team. We played them as a exhibition game my senior year, and captains come up to the front, or come to center court at the beginning of the game. We got to chat. He's a really nice guy. But I want to say it was maybe the second possession of the game where he catches the ball in the wing and I'm guarding him. He's 6'4", super athletic, very, very skilled basketball player. Like
8-foot wingspan.
Well, he was projected as an NBA potential draft pick at that point. Wow. He didn't end up being a pick, but he was projected at that point. And they come up and set a ball screen. We're on the left wing, and his screener comes and sets the screen. And my teammate, I'm not gonna call him out here, but he's supposed to jump out and do what we call a hedge, which is to stop Kevin from turning the corner on the screen. And my job is to try to get really close to Kevin and push him over the screen. Kevin's 6'4", pretty strong. He's able to kind of create enough contact against me that I can't get right beside him on the screen. And he pushes the ball between his player who's setting the screen and my teammate who's trying to jump out. He slips, or he throws the ball into the middle of the court, so now he's past me, he's past my teammate, and he's got a wide open look at the rim. And all this is done with 1, maybe 2 dribbles most. And I'm pretty sure it's a YouTube clip because he jumps up, he's now flying, and he tungs the ball with some huge vigor. And the commentator, without missing a beat, says, "Well, that's what happens when you're being guarded by a baby."
Oh,
nice. All right.
So that might have been my most embarrassing
amazing. Dr. Clinton Cybulski, our co-host Karen, we've had a 2-parter today with Dr. Clinton about basketball and life, and welcome back to. We'll talk again to Clinton sometime in the future, and good luck to everything you do.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And if there's any younger players listening, I would just say enjoy the game no matter where you're at. try to train it daily if you want to improve at it. And if you're someone that's my age, moisturizing daily, please continue to enjoy the game and give back to it.
And absolutely, there are plenty of good lotions out there. Snackablementalhealth.ca.